there's all this talk about how with AI, you don't get to use your brain anymore because we're just outsourcing our cognitive load onto AI assistants. And I'm like, I don't really think so. I have to think more now than I have ever done.
Some people might be thinking, it's like, well, so what? Like, big deal. I show up on ChatGPT because somebody's looking how to do accounting for themselves. Being a copywriter yourself, you're obviously well-versed in this area. Are there any tips for those small business owners that are writing their blog content, how to best show up in AI?
You're in this space where it's kind of you against Google. You have your keywords, you try to find the right ones, you maybe fail. You have to convince your own self which one of these sources is the right one.
We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Drop the mic with Jason Hunt.
All right, Emma, it's been a while since we actually, I think, physically met. Can you recall the first time we met?
Oh my God. Wow. Well, it must be, 10, 15 years ago, maybe.
Probably.
I know we met did we meet at our office or one of the conferences?
Probably one of the conferences, I would assume. One of the
Yeah, I think it was Tess. I think I met you with Tess,
so
Prague.
So that kind of gives an idea on the beginnings of the relationship, because, obviously, historically, I have background in affiliate marketing, you as well, working in that space, which I think is important, when we're talking about the foundation of what we're doing now. This episode, I do want to dive into AEO. I want to ask you a lot of questions about it. I kind of want to get an insight into that, that 8-ball or that crystal ball in terms of where things are going with artificial intelligence and copywriting. But before we get into that, Emma, maybe give a bit of a background on your journey to where you are today. You started out as a copywriter, right?
Well, actually, I started in digital marketing and affiliate when we met. I did that for about 7 years, which was great. But I felt like, in my mind, when I started working in digital marketing, or when I wanted to, it sort of felt creative somehow, but I was so wrong. It was all numbers and conversions. And so at one point I figured, okay, maybe this is not exactly what I want to do. I've always loved to write. So I figured maybe I can find a way to do that, but not be a writer and disappoint my parents. I kill them. And so copywriting was just, that makes so much sense. So I'm very proud to say that I'm self-taught. So I did everything from scratch. There were no fancy schools. There was no nothing. While I was working in affiliate, I started doing absolutely every course I can find and read everything I could. So I made that transition to copywriting, and it was great because it went pretty well, pretty fast. So that's great. I got a chance to collaborate many years with Publicis and NTT Data and Spirax Sarco and the World Intellectual Property Organization. I mean, really so many cool projects. And at one point I figured, okay, next step, I'm going to build an agency. I already kind of worked with a team. That was 2022. Good timing in the end. I got pregnant, and then in 2023, when I had my kid, ChatGPT became more or less mainstream. It wasn't really mainstream back then, but to me, it just blew my mind. So what was initially going to be a creative content strategy copywriting company, it quickly morphed into something else, because I can't say I was one of the first people that used ChatGPT, but definitely among the first hundreds. I was there, and I was loving every moment of it. I thought it was amazing how even back then, when they weren't up to date with what was online. They had their own databases, their own information, and access to the internet up until a point. And even then I thought, wow, this is crazy how I can just plan a trip this way instead of going to Google and opening a million tabs and jotting down stuff. And so, to me, it was obvious that it can't be just me. More people are going to find this. So that's when Decipher happened, 2024 at the beginning.
It's funny how you get to that point, especially for you, being a copywriter, loving being a copywriter, and then realizing that you can't hang on to being a copywriter because inevitably you're going to get eaten up I mean, I saw it in our agency too. We at the time in 2023, when ChatGPT started coming to fruition, we had employees that were very romantic about content creation and the traditional way of creating content, yet there was a much more efficient way of doing it. But the learning curve took a while, right? Because people are still holding on to the old school way of doing things. But credit to you to being, one of the early adopters of ChatGPT, being a copywriter, right? So what was it in those early stages for you that was like, oh, I got to make this pivot now? I recently returned from speaking at a conference about AI and marketing, and my inbox went absolutely bonkers with people requesting my presentation slides. Now, here's the thing. Instead of emailing slides to dozens of people, I decided to do something better. I launched Amplify Your Brand on School. It's where I'm sharing the AI tools that actually work, not the garbage everyone's hyping about. The exact processes our agency uses to save 15 plus hours every week. Real strategies that drive results. You'll get my slides for my presentations, weekly live business audits, and access everything we do at Merged Media. No fluff, no BS, just what works. If you want to learn more, go check out Amplify Your Brand on School. That's school, SKOOL.com/AYB. See you on the inside.
Because it was a different brain that was working with me alongside all my crazy ideas. Because I mean, I talk to it and I've been talking to it ever since. I'm literally walking my dogs with one hand, and I have big dogs, and I'm walking my dogs, and on the other hand, I'm thinking, okay, so last night before going to bed, I was thinking about this for this client, or maybe this for my book, because I'm writing something about AI search. And it's just that, to me, I love that fact that I can bounce off ideas, and I can do that forever. It's not like a friend that at one point will be like, okay, Emma, do you want to maybe talk about something else, or a spouse, or even, someone you pay. It's just not the same. It's there just talking back at you and giving you ideas. And sure, not all of them are good, and not all the content it's creating, most of the content it's creating is pretty garbage, but it gives you ideas. It kind of makes you think. And that suggestion box and in Perplexity and all those, so many great ideas came only from those. I didn't even have to. So yeah, I mean, I don't know why. I don't really, it's going to sound stupid, but I don't know why people aren't just stopping you in the street going like, did you see ChatGPT, what it can do now? That's how excited I am about it.
Well, I think a lot of people are misusing it, right? They're using it. They're using it for, like you said, like the stuff you're doing back in 2023, like making travel plans. Give me 5 suggestions on things I need to see in Marbella, Spain. Things like that. But but when it comes to like actually using it as a thinking partner, to empower you to make better decisions, empower you to, spend less time doing monotonous things, spending less time actually handwriting, articles or emails or things like that. I mean, the power to be able to ask it questions and have that sort of conversation to give it the context to produce a better output is something that's just still, for business owners, still like, what are you talking about? Right? It's over their head.
And you mentioned context, and this is, to me, it's the key to it all, because it has not only you explain the context, you tell them, I don't know, I'm preparing some ideas for a client, but it also has your context as okay, she's a copywriter with a background in this, and there's Decipher which does this. So it has so many bits of information from different angles. I think it's brilliant. I mean, I don't know why. Yeah.
Are you using, is it ChatGPT that you're leaning heavily on, or Claude, or what is the platform you're preferring?
I mean, I think I'm loyal to ChatGPT only because it was the first one I tried. And after that, I went through all of them. But I don't know. That's my favorite one. Yeah. What about you? Which one do you use?
Yeah, Claude is one, like we have an enterprise account with Claude. Everyone pronounces it different. Would you say Claude or Claude?
No, Claude.
Claude. I thought so. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So Claude, the one that we're using, we live by it. We record every transcript from a conversation we have. It goes into the project knowledge base. So it has that context. Now we're even microing it to a point where if we have a client that does, let's say, organic social media, paid social media, and SEO with us, we're creating 3 different projects for that one client, and those auto transcriptions are going into each conversation because the plan for SEO is going to be specific to that. So if I have a question about a client's SEO, I'm going to go to that specific Claude project, which also has our entire structure baked into it as well. Same with the paid ads. Our paid ad strategy is baked into each project for our client. So when I go create me 5 different variations of ad copy for this avatar with this offer, it knows exactly what to do. So it's saving so much time. And because our entire team uses it, we're always going to be on the same page. How often do I get questions from employees? They're like, hey, can you tell me about this client or about this? I'm like, hey, go ask the Claude. It has the entire transcript from every conversation I've ever had. So you can just get the answer there.
It's curious how you say the Claude. To me, it's a person. To me, ChatGPT is just gonna chat to ChatGPT about something. I use Notebook for sort of some of those things as well when you have to have a library of. But I mean, to me, it's my go-to is ChatGPT.
You talking about Notebook LM?
Yeah, exactly.
Explain how you're using Notebook LM.
Well, my latest project there is a set for my book. So I have articles I've written about consumer behavior now that we're using AI and so many different things. So I put everything into that one project, Notebook LM, and then all kinds of other other articles or books I know are relevant, just everything that is relevant to that. And then I have a chat with it again. I tell it to extract ideas, to tell me if I have enough material to write a section about this thing I want to write. Is it even relevant? Then I go to ChatGPT and say, hey, ChatGPT. So I use it mostly for kind of processing a lot of information in one place that's all relevant and interconnected, and it's brilliant. Notebook is brilliant. I don't know why not everybody uses it. How come?
Yeah, it's a Google product.
People use it.
It's a Google
exactly.
Too, right?
I mean,
so
it's not.
It's Notebook. I've used it for creating the document for my speaking style and my writing style, so I can give it to my Claude project so it can talk like me. That's great for that, because put in, like you did, all the resources from your blog posts, from your transcripts, from your podcast you're on, like this conversation, add that transcript into your Notebook, and then it can just spit out that speaking guide, right, which you can put into the project. But also, I've messed around a bit with the podcasting function on Notebook LM, where you can
tried that too.
It's interesting. You get 2 AIs talking to one another. Now, I was recently told from a colleague that they're taking it up a notch. So those AI podcasts where you have 2 AIs talking to one another in a pretty casual conversation, they're actually baking in corrections and like almost like fixing your throat. Like,
no way.
Yeah, they're adding those human nuances into the actual speakers, which is crazy, because that's the one thing that can decipher humans from the AI is really those human nuances and mistakes that we make.
So true. That's crazy. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, so but if you think about it, I mean, that's where things are going, because right now you're probably doing this as well, making such an effort to train my personal brand AI that I have write emails for me to sound like me and sound human. Use the words I use. Don't use M dashes and overuse ChatGPT words and you know what I mean? I don't want it to talk like that. I want it to talk like me. So the more people like you and me are baking this into the AI, you got to think the AI is going to want to catch up and be as human as possible.
It will. It's getting there, and customization, and it's only been what, I mean, I don't think we can count this as the 3rd year, but let's say 2.5 years, and it's just crazy how much it's evolved already. And customer and personalization is going to get even. It feels like the answer you're getting is yours, but it's only going to get better and more refined in time. So I don't know. It's 100%. Scary also, I have to say. But
it is. But you know what? I mean, like most people, and we've done this test internally with our paid ads, where we tested AI copy versus human copy, and human copy outperforms AI copy because of those nuances. So obviously AI is going to want to be as can compete as best as possible against the human. So it's going to try to make it as human as possible, you would think. And again, I'm kind of biased. I'm only talking about paid ads, and obviously there's a lot more uses for it than that. But I do want to get into you here, Ema, talking about which is a really hot topic, for us. I mean, as as a digital marketing agency, you know, we haven't focused entirely on it. So I want to learn as much from you today as possible as an AEO, answer engine pioneer. You know,
actually, they're talking about geo now. So apparently now it's generative engine optimization and not AEO, which I liked more. I thought it was more stylish the way it looked, even on assets and stuff. But anyway, it's geo.
Okay, let's go geo. I like it. Okay, so getting rid of AEO, it's now geo. Okay?
A whole new world.
Let's not just confuse things with geo targeting here. All right, let's just say geo. Got it. All right.
That's what I mean. Why geo? No, I don't like it, but it's what it's. I see it more. It's more and more used, and when I do my audits to see what people, the keyword searches and so on, there's more volume on that. So
yeah,
there we go.
Okay. So, well, tell us first of all, what's your definition of geo, and why is it important in 2026?
Geo, you have to think about geo as a practice of structuring and writing content in a way that AI assistants and systems find and they can quickly understand and they can use in their answers. It's more, I mean, I don't want to, but it's more of a glorified content strategy, honestly. I mean, it's not really, you can't compare it to SEO. SEO is a whole science. This is a layer on top of SEO. It's in a way also a science. I mean, don't get me wrong, it has specific technical, like structured data. Structured data is very, very important. The trust signals, there are some particularities, let's say, but you have to think about it as a practice. It's a kind of way of writing and structuring content that is different from what we used to do before. And what it does, it puts your brand in those mentions. It gets you mentioned, it gets you cited, and in front of so many younger people as well, particularly certain demographics. But yeah,
I love the way you put that, because a lot of business owners and probably agency owners too look at geo as a competitor to SEO. Like it's going to take your job. But I love how you put it in a way where it's like it's layering on top of SEO.
It's a layer.
So let's try to dumb this down as much as possible for the average business owner out there. How does that work when you layer it on top of an SEO program?
So first of all, you have to optimize for SEO. That's a given. All this chatter, I don't know if you get the same content as I do, but I see every 2 days there's an article on how SEO is dead. It's not dead, it's the foundation. So once you're optimized for SEO, I mean, you can never be done with that and full stop, but you know, once you more or less have it under control, the layer that I'm talking about is less about all the technical things and more about, okay, let me do an audit. Let me see how my content is performing. What do I have? What should I have? And kind of rewrite the content in a way that is easier for them to see. That's on one side. See and summarize and use in their answers. Because right now, one of the differences between them, for example, is that you have to optimize at a paragraph level, you know, and make it as citable and concise and anyway relevant, rather than optimize for a landing page like you used to do on SEO. That was kind of the it thing. So that's what I mean with layer. Once you have the foundation, once you have responsiveness down, once you have all the backlinks in order, the internal link, once you have all that down, you need to rethink your content, because most probably, unless you're but this is a whole different topic, never mind that. You need to rethink your content. Most probably you need to rethink your content, how it's structured, but also the kind of landing pages you have right now. They might be sort of geared towards SEO, so very focused on certain keywords rather than intention, because that's what happens with geo. You have to think visibility, you have to think authority. You know, if SEO, and we probably get into more about this parallel between them, but one important difference between them is that SEO is very ranking oriented. You focus on that because you want to drive traffic to your website. That's the goal of SEO. The goal of geo is to get your brand to be an authority, to get your brand to be the answer when someone asks about I don't know, like accounting softwares. if you go to Google, all you do is just put the best, I don't know, accounting services, softwares, whatever. If you're using AI, someone that uses AI will go and say, I have a creative agency and I'm in these, you're going to give it so much more context. So your landing page that has software accounting just peppered in everywhere is useless right now, because it's not useless, but it's not as good as it used to be. It won't give you the results you need it to give you, because with GEO, you need to, first of all, you can't sound like a robot. That's very important, even though they are sort of robots, but ironically enough, you can't sound like a robot.
Yeah.
And that's why AI generated content is such a problem if you just copy paste whatever it gives you. So it needs to sound like a human, and it needs to be thought out in that way that is kind of ticking all the boxes, like potential prompts that you might be, that your users might be just typing in or voicing to their AI assistants. So I mean, the focus is very different.
Let's say for example, there's a small business owner, owns an accounting firm. Maybe it's a solopreneur. He has a website, 5-page standard website. What kind of changes would they need to make to their website in order to show up in a ChatGPT query? So would they have to add an FAQ page that's answering some of these highly searched for things on ChatGPT? Like, what exactly is it that they have to do to their website?
I mean, I would run an audit first, and there are so many AI brand visibility tools out there, but I would run an audit and see where they appear right now. Because what happens is that you're probably, if you got a professional to do, like an SEO professional to do your website, it probably has a good foundation and it probably has some standard landing pages, but you're missing out on a lot of topical landing pages. So you probably have I don't know, the typical about us, the typical services, but you don't give, for example, any educational content. You don't publish anything about who you cater to, the problems that you solve, maybe on the homepage as a sort of benefits, as a sort of there's so many changes. FAQ are very important. You need to use a lot of bullet points, even simple things like that, things that they can quickly grab and use as an answer. Because if you see that, that's the problem with a lot of the content that a typical accounting software will have. They will probably have explained their business in their terms and not like I would search or how you would search, so they have a lot of content there that AI assistants can't just pull up out of that page, from that page, and just publish in their answers. It's too much work, so they're just gonna skip through it. Also, if their structured data isn't in place and they don't have everything they need to have in the back end, they won't even know that the content is there. So, well, they do, because they see the content as well. It's not just the structured data, but it will be, again, a lot more work, and others will have done the work for them. So I mean, it's just easy to lose opportunities.
Okay, so what I'm getting there is okay. Obviously, the most important thing is the SEO foundation. So the accounting firm with the 5-page website has to be an authority in their area, for example, right? And for ChatGPT to even consider touching its website for information. So if there's maybe something specific about accounting that's on this website,
ChatGPT grabs this info because it also sees similar info on other authority websites, right? Is that what's happening? Okay. So it's seeing similar information on other authorities' websites to give credit, being like, okay, must be accurate. This is information I'm going to provide based on this question.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And go on. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say that it's very important to also have content published in other sources, because the content that you put out there needs to have the same message all the time, the same tone of voice all the time. So all these AI assistants can cross-reference all that and say, okay, well, if Reddit and Instagram, YouTube, their own website, and maybe Medium and LinkedIn say the same thing, it's got to be true. I mean, they clearly know what they're doing, and so they're going to use you. It's not only about optimizing your website, which is obviously the first step. That's what you need to do. And going back to the 5 pages, you say, sorry, I think I'm going from one thing to another, but it's just so much to talk about. And this, Topical landing pages, if you're a local business, you need to have a local page, like a accounting software Ottawa.
Yeah.
You know, just because that will help both with SEO, but also with AI search. It'll be all the more relevant to the people searching there. So that's something I'm sure very few have.
It's 100%. It's a huge one. That's a huge piece for us. I mean, local SEO is a big play for our agency, and that is a huge part of it, is what you just said there, Emma. But also the Google Business Profile optimization, giving those cues to, you know, the likes of Google that you're an authority is super important as well, which obviously ChatGPT you'd think would pick that up as well. But I think some people might be thinking here, and we can go down a lot of different rabbit holes here, and we totally can.
I know.
But one thing that some people might be thinking, it's like, well, so what? Like, big deal. I show up on ChatGPT because somebody's looking how to do accounting for themselves, you know, but how is that going to help out the business?
Well, if you get cited, that's a link. And it's not just that. It's the fact that your link is there or that you're mentioned is, okay, let me zoom out a bit. So another big difference between SEO and GEO, well, actually between traditional engines and AI-powered search engines and AI assistants, is that your mindset is completely different. And this is something I could talk about because I just love. The consumer behavior is completely different. When you go to Google, you're in this space where it's kind of you against Google. You know, you have your keywords, you try to find the right ones, you maybe fail. You have to convince your own self which one of these sources is the right one. Should I trust TripAdvisor, or should I try a local blog post that maybe I know him or whatever? Who has the truth, you know, the truth for me, the one that is actually the best solution for me? You have to think about all that. When you go to ChatGPT or any other of these ones, they not only have context. Are you still there? Because you disappeared. Okay. They not only have context, because if you have your memory feature turned on, they probably know a lot about you because they've been saving stuff, and you can edit that, by the way. But you also are inclined to give it more information because you know that it can handle it. That's how it works. So you're going to tell it, okay, I'm planning a trip with my family. And it's not the kind of Google search where you say top destinations for families 2026. And I don't know, Condé Nast or any of these big publications will probably have written some articles. No, you go to ChatGPT and you say, I'm 37. I have a 2-year-old and a husband and 2 dogs. I want to drive. I can't take the plane. It's too many people and animals and so on. So you give it so much context that when it recommends something, you trust it. And that's fundamental. Fundamental, because in Google, by the time you trust something, it's hours and tabs and energy. And even then you're like, you know what? I'm going to ask my best friend. Maybe she was there before I was there. Maybe she likes it. Whereas when ChatGPT recommends something, or any of these other assistants, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I gave it all this information. So when it tells me go to this hotel or rent, I don't know, or go to this restaurant, you know that it already allows pets because you said you're taking your dogs with you. There's space for your kid, you know, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I mean, it's a different mindset, and the trust is there. The trust that wasn't there before. So when someone is mentioned in these AI assistants or well, recommended, basically, you're kind of down the funnel a lot, like not all the way there, but you're very close. So when that person hops onto your website, or afterwards, if you're just mentioned, Googles you or whatever, they find you, or they just ask ChatGPT, give me the website of this, you're kind of already in decision making, in a decision making point, you know, in your journey. And that is crucial. That it's not 100%, obviously. I mean, nothing is, but you're a lot more, it's a lot more probable that you're going to buy or at least contact, whatever the conversion is there, you're probably going to do it.
So it's definitely a huge brand awareness play too, being able to show up in those places. And I think you're right. I mean, we're getting to a point now where obviously I think most people are still, you know, looking, using Google to look for that accountant, or, you know what I mean, or find that travel agent or whatever it is. But I mean, soon enough, people are going to be in the behavior of saying, "Hey, ChatGPT, tell me the top 5 travel agents in my area." You want to be one of those 5, right?
You want to be one of those 5.
So you're saying, Emma, so one, I mean, positioning yourself as an authority on that landing page or website, having that point form content that's on there, answering some of those highly searched for questions. But also backlinking is very important too, right? So getting those backlinks and is it important? Obviously with SEO, call it link juice. It's super important to get those high profile links linking back. Is there a preference with Geo in terms of what kind of backlinks a business should be going for?
I mean, the more established, the better. The better the ranking, the better, the more probable it is that it will actually use it. So it's pretty much the same as SEO. It's the same principle, but it's very important.
Okay, so I one thing that we kind of backpedaled on in last year is for local businesses, we don't do a bunch of blog content like we used to. It used to be a huge emphasis on churning out so much blog content, right? Where now we found that we're getting better results much quicker with our SEO program by making a much more simpler website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
On Google, that is, which is quite interesting, right? But like, I guess my question, what I want to get to is understanding at its core, the big difference when Google puts somebody at the top of a search for, let's say, travel agent, or ChatGPT puts somebody at the top of search for a travel agent. What is the fundamental difference between the two in terms of how that specific platform pulls that listing?
How relevant, first of all, how relevant the content is on your website is fundamental. And I'll give you an example. So we recently expanded to the Middle East and I created a landing page. This is on our website that is not high ranking in Google at all. And I created this landing page, optimized a little bit the website, but created this landing page. And in 4 months, we were already mentioned, and we've been mentioned ever since, just with that landing page. Obviously, I created more and we have more stuff, but I cannot stress enough how important the structure and the content is on a topical landing page. So that's key. That will put you there. And to be honest, as it is right now, I can't really say a quick win, but it's way easier than to get ranked in Google. So, just create 2-3 landing pages that are spot on, topical, what people are looking for. They don't have to be sales. These are not sales pages. We're not talking about conversion pages. We're talking about whatever the people want. Give the people what they want, so do an audit and see what are the main prompts and the topics that people are searching for in that area, and just go for them, create them. Because honestly, I mean, it's SEO 20 years ago. I'm sure it's going to change, and many things are coming, and it'll change, like ads. They're going to introduce ads shortly. So that'll be another, but as it is right now, I don't know why not. Why everybody should be waking up creating landing pages, honestly.
Do you think it's a matter of time before the platforms start, like the AI platforms start monetizing with ads? Think that'll ever happen?
It's happening, very soon, for sure. It's happening very soon. I don't know how they're gonna. Like you'll search for something or ask a question on ChatGPT, and then it's going to have some sort of a sponsored ad in your face. Yeah, you see that? 100%. Yeah, I mean, ChatGPT is already, OpenAI are already talking about it, and they're justifying it that it's too expensive for them to keep the platform up, which makes sense. So they have to do that.
Sure.
Sure, that makes sense, exactly. And the more people use it, the more they're going to need a different source of revenue. So, and 20 euros, honestly, I can't believe they still ask for 20 euros. I mean, what are we talking about? I would have paid 50.
Yeah, 100%. But that's obviously by design, right? It's probably, maybe this is in the plan regardless.
Yeah.
Why not? Like, it makes no sense. Like, just to get everybody in the world on ChatGPT for a super crazy cheap price, and then let's monetize the shit out of it, right? So,
exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Well, enjoy it while we have it, commercialless. You know what I mean? So,
and optimize for it, people.
Yes, definitely. And optimize. That's right. One thing that you touched on there which I think is very interesting, is this business moved to UAE or move to Dubai, or did it start there? Like, where are you situated there?
No, I'm in Italy. I'm in Milan, but my Decipher is based in London, and the London business is still there. But now there's also a company set up in the UAE.
I think that's very important. I think because, it's one of the fastest AI adoption markets, right?
100%.
So I think it's a super smart move for you to plant, an anchor yourself in that country. Was that behind the idea of it? Is that what the reason for it? Is because they are kind of fast with this?
Exactly. So I went there, and I have friends there, so I go often to visit them and get away from my responsibilities. And since Decipher was in London, my friend who was in the British Commerce Council said, you know what, come to one of our networking events and just see what it's like. And I was like, because you're a British business. And I was like, okay, cool, let's go. And the way people there network, and the thirst for knowledge, and just to try things and to hear things. And if I'm talking to you and there's no synergy there, they're going to go like, do you know, Jason, I'm not sure we can do business, but wait, Emma, come here and meet Jason. There's that kind of a dynamic, coupled with the fact that there's so much investment in AI right now there, that to me, it was a no-brainer. I mean, yeah, let's go.
That's very interesting. Everyone's just looking to connect. Everyone's looking to help each other out in a way, or in a sense. And I think the percentage that I read was like 58% of the people in UAE use ChatGPT, which is more than half the population, which is quite crazy, right? Like, definitely smart. I mean, I don't even know what we're at here in Canada or North America, but I don't think it's anywhere near 58%.
No, nowhere. No.
Cool. So, okay. So talking about, the technical creative balance between blending that storytelling with the machine readable content. Being a copywriter yourself, you're obviously well-versed in this area. Are there any tips for those small business owners that are writing their blog content, how to best show up in AI or with Geo?
Besides, be consistent with your tone of voice.
Okay.
Choose a sort of kind of like a feature, like a key feature, like cheeky, or maybe you use irony, or maybe you're overly optimistic, or whatever it is, something distinctive, you do that. And it doesn't, I don't want to go all philosophical, use your own voice because we're all special. Yeah, sure. But in the end, these machines kind of recognize certain patterns. So make sure you're always showing up for those, for whatever it is, whatever tone of voice, whatever style you're using, the storytelling you have in your mind, and you want to put that on paper. Be consistent and use a non-neutral tone of voice. That's so important nowadays.
And there are ways, like we talked about, where people can customize that brand voice to make sure it is spitting out that consistent content with those nuances that you have, or with that comedic relief, or
whatever it is
that you want to put into those articles, right? It's possible to do it very easily. A story that I tell is, I have a good friend of mine who's a journalist here in Canada and writes for a pretty popular news outlet, and he called me up. He's like, Jay, what should I do with this AI stuff? I'm falling behind, right? Because he's a journalist. He's a very traditional journalist, and I'm like, I said to him, his name's Kenny. I said, Kenny, look, man, what I would do is spend less time sitting at your desk writing, right? You have thousands of articles you've written. All of those should be going into your AI to understand your brand voice, the way you talk, the way you speak, the idioms you use. It knows it. So spend more time out in the field, interviewing people, creating stories, calling people. You know what I mean? Like, that's where you can spend your time now, because AI can't replace that. You know what I mean? Building the connections, right? And
that's such a great idea.
That's what journalists need to be doing, and this is what every single blog writer out there can be doing too, is to save more time by doing the actual physical writing, by coming up with the ideas, right?
That's such a brilliant advice you gave him.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you're so passionate about AI brand voice. And how come?
Yeah, so it's funny. I mean, it really all derived from, when we got published in the journal Brand Strategy, a published paper in that of
an experiment that we did where we tested out AI against human copywriting, and we did find the human copywriter won 9 out of the 12 cases with our test. And through that, it's like, it really came to the realization that people they don't connect with AI copy. They don't connect with AI content because they know a human didn't create that content. So for me, it's like, I want, if I'm going to use AI to save myself time so I can spend more time with my family, spend more time, with the things I want to do, then what can I do in my everyday work without sacrificing my brand voice? Right. That's the key. Is I want to make it seem like it is me, and adding that human element to the AI to be able to do that, to save myself time and still be effective. So people aren't reading what they think is AI junk. I think is super important. So that's why I'm really bullish on using AI, but also incorporating your brand voice into it, because I think in the end, it's going to save people a lot of time. And you want to give people things that are enjoyable to read, not somebody else's churned out AI crap, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, and they're not going to read it. It's just a waste of time. At one point, you're going to stop doing it altogether because it's just not working. So yeah.
Well, I've had, as you've done, I've had AI interview me. It knows a lot of stories of my past. It has a lot of stories of resilient stories, how I started my business, my family, my friends. It has all this knowledge. So when I say, hey, if I have 10 minutes to write a LinkedIn post because something happened in a meeting, there's a recent example. There's a recent example of it. We had a client, we had the fire, and I was like, this is a great LinkedIn post. Hey, my personalized customer. I said, hey, I had this issue, this problem, or this situation happened. Can you write me a LinkedIn post? It knows the format I like to write my LinkedIn posts in. Yeah. It can pull in information historically from how I started my first business and challenges I faced then. Yeah. And in that LinkedIn post, I'm reading it and I'm like, wow, this is like learning opportunities for me too, based on things that happened to me in the past.
I know. I've
mentioned, so that's where it really, derives from so much potential just to be able to still articulate your brand voice and use AI and save time.
Oh, 100%. Oh, I love that you say that. Yeah. I use it for that so much. Even now, because for the UAE, we got a PR and she sent me some questions for something. And I was like, I'm never going to have time to do this. Not time, but it's just, let's be smart about this. So I used ChatGPT to work on every question. So I was just like with my voice, with a voice feature. I was like, okay, question 1, this is the question, this is my answer. And I just blabbed out everything I wanted to say. And then I asked it to give me both the transcript of each question and the answer and a polished, but in my tone of voice, answer. And honestly, I had to tweak it, I don't know, minimally. I mean, just 100%. Some little, very good. I mean,
100%. That's the best part about it. And also, I mean, keep in mind, you don't have to copy and paste all that information verbatim. If in a lot of cases, AI is going to spit out a lot more information, too much information, where all your job is now is to pull out the nuggets, those golden nuggets. That's what I was looking for. Boom, copy, paste. And
do you know, that's a different, sorry to interrupt you, but I got excited about this idea because I was thinking about it the other day. There's all this talk about how with AI, you don't get to use your brain anymore because we're just outsourcing our cognitive load onto AI assistants. And I'm like, I don't really think so. I have to think more now than I have ever done. Because back before BC, before chat, I had to write all these things and just iterate, and I had my notebooks and stuff, and so much time was wasted. And now I get to think about what's important.
Yes.
What do you mean I'm outsourcing my brain? I'm not outsourcing my brain. I'm just getting sort of like an extension, like a hard drive in a way.
So true,
but
though,
a smart
right?
one. I think about stuff more than I've ever thought about.
It's connecting the dots for you, right? So, it's almost like doing all the work up here for you. You can just focus on the things that matter. And now you don't have to think to a piece of pen, to a piece of paper. You're getting rid of this, right? You're thinking
getting
about
rid of so much, exactly, which takes actually a long time, and then refining and the reiterations and just not of writing, but the ideas. You have to think about more ideas. And I mean, I was working on an audit for a client today, or geo audit, and I have to say, I mean, it's not perfect. It will give you ideas that make no sense, and it will also make apparent connections between things that don't make sense. So it's far from being this perfect brain that now I get to use, and my brain is just rotting in the background. Far from it. And even if it gets better, whatever connections it's making, it's not the connections I want it to make, not always. And it's focusing sometimes on things that are not a priority, even if I tell them that it's a priority. So it's just, I feel like think more now than ever. So this whole thing that, oh, we're not using our brains anymore, we're gonna rot, I don't think so.
I think it just changes a bit to, you need to be creative in using the AI, right? You need, the way you use it, you need to be creative. So the way we're creative has just changed slightly to having this assistant help you in terms of how you got to be creative with the way you use it, right? That's it. And if you're not creative with the way you use it, you're absolutely right. You're going to have the AI dependency dilemma where you just the people that are using it, just like, write me a bunch of blog content, write me a bunch of social media content. And they're not using their brain at all, or having that back and forth like you talked about. Like that's when they're gonna have a problem and maybe start rotting, right? If they start using it. But that's why you got to be creative to use it, right?
Maybe that's why some people don't use it. Maybe we just had a breakthrough now, Maybe some people don't use it because they're just not innate creative, and they just go like, no, this is bullshit, on to the next. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe, you're absolutely right. I mean, look, they probably think like, wow, this is too easy. Everybody can just do this. You know what I mean? Or it's like, that's where we have to get more creative with using it, so you can have more unique content, give it your own personal touch. It's possible. Just, I think people are being lazy.
They are being lazy. It's too good.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Ema, this has been an awesome conversation. Love talking to you. If our audience has any questions for you, where can they get in touch with you and your company?
Well, the company is decipher.agency, but they can reach out either on LinkedIn, Ema Fulga, or Ema with one M, very important, EMA at decipher.agency, if you have any questions. And thank you so much for having me. I have to say, this is my first podcast, so I'm very excited.
Wow, you seem like a seasoned veteran. It didn't seem like your first
hardly.
podcast. Yeah.
No, I was actually talking to ChatGPT doing mock-up. Like mock chat and mock.
This is the real Ema with us here today, right? Just want to make sure of it. Okay. All right. Cool.
100%.
All right.
Hungry and tired.
Awesome. All right. Thanks,
Thank you
Ema.
so much for having me.
You bet.
Speak soon.
Hey, thank you, podcast listener, for checking out that episode of Drop the Mic. If you liked that episode, I would love it if you went on over to your podcast platform and left us a 5-star review. And if you don't want to miss an upcoming episode of Drop the Mic, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks again. See you soon.